Hey, I'm a learner. My other bell broke. I'm usually double footed.
Well, maybe me and maybe you are to part of the same three. You only move to the next best thing, get over. Cause there is no turning back. And maybe strings attached that'll pull you down till you can't go any lower. I don't know what to say, but this was planned. You walked right in and you sat right down. Now please understand that I'm wide open to suggestion and upon reflection. I'm older, but still I'm none too wise. None too wise, none too wise, none too wise, none too wise. I'm old, but still I'm none too wise.
Andy McClellan.
I'm old, still I'm none too wise. I'm old, still I'm none too wise.
Thank you for joining me. I'm Paige from the Magic of Horsecraft. This is my little dog. Hi, I'm in my little cabin. Hey, buddy. How are you? Say hello. That spider. He really gets a little bit jealous sometimes when I talk to people who aren't here. So he might chat with us today. He's quite vocal. Aren't you, lovey? Yes. And he's learning how to not leave the boundary of our fence so that he can live, because we live on a highway. It's been keeping him safe, but I think he looks like he needs a little love, doesn't he? Oh, buddy. Oh, spider. Sweet pea. I know it's cold in here. I have run out of wood. You're never out of wood when you live on a farm, but now I have to go get it when I need it. And surprise, I found out why I'm in so much pain. I have a broken rib, so my wood stove is currently smoldering, but it's not terribly cold outside. I live in Northern Ontario. I am surrounded by snow still on April 2nd. And ice. It's treacherous. It's absolutely treacherous. I spend a good part of my day trying to make sure that people that walk through this property don't wipe out. It's just like, wear your crampons or don't come. I ran out of sand. There's not enough sand. It's under all the ice. Gosh darn it. Holy smokeroos, eh? We were just skating on that. It's amazing I'm still standing. I'm gonna put you down. Can't so much sneak up on people when I'm wearing these things. You'll hardly know I'm here. So, update on my life and adventures, including sort of my health status or general updates, I suppose now. Everyone's invested. I did just have a PET scan. Yes, I have the results. No, I'm not a doctor. Has a doctor read them to me? No. Have I read them? Yes. Do I have one particularly well-informed friend with more resources in another province advising me every step of the way? Yes. Am I reaching out for all of the medicines related in particular to hormonal positive breast cancer and estrogen control? Yes. Have I read all the studies? Yes. Have I tried them all? Not all of them yet. Am I accessing naturopathic doctors and their recommended care. I mean, none of that's free, right? We have free healthcare. Bullshit. Especially here, the way it works is that the government decides the line of treatment of the doctors. So in Quebec, it's the doctors. And I've boiled that down enough to probably really piss people off. And I can back it up somewhere when I'm attacked. But that's the gist of it. And I mean, TikTok, don't got a lot of time. We'll boil her down. So these are the options to treat stage 4 metastatic breast cancer that returns in the spine, which is very common. 30% of them do within 5 years. I was at the 6-year mark when they found it by accident because I was kicked and nearly died because they didn't realize right away. And then there was a lot of really serious stuff. They ended up getting MRIs and PET scans and stuff, and they found something they didn't like that I never would have found. And given my history with my back, which I now know has 2 previously undiagnosed, untreated fractures in my vertebrae that I rode through. So there's 2 periods in my life where I'm like, yeah, well, that hurt a lot. I figure, I guess I broke my back a couple times. My parents are from a line of fucking tough people. You get back on the horse. I was taught by cavalry officers. We had a rule that you weren't eliminated until you fell the 3rd time. Climbed back on twice. I had friends start to go backwards on courses and not know what day it was. Get on. I have a history of daily pain since I was 12, with the one exception where I was treated by someone whose name I can't tell you because then you'll all want to know who he is, and he doesn't want that. All hail to them. And I've been trying to access that kind of care ever since. It involves work on the fascia system. And my learning over the last 5 years has combined nervous system science, how this interacts with our fascia, our emotions, our health, our wellness, and disease, because that's what I've been in the middle of. And I am pooling everything that I have learned and everything that I am into one project that is, for the first time in my life, beautifully aligned. So most of my life, I've been known as like one of the Lockton long shots. The fact that one of my people rode on Princess Anne's lawn is an effing miracle, and I love my people. They was poor. They were orphaned. They had a dry well. They didn't have a stick of wood on the property when the bull broke the gate, and they were 11 years old and they had to fix it. They didn't have anything to burn to stay warm. They didn't have water to bathe in. I rode at Princess Anne's house. Right? So all of this is coming together for a pretty interesting life and a lot of opportunities. And so here I am at the end of it, looking down a barrel of gun. And in pain all that effing time. And trying to access what I need to heal. And my community is coming together to carry me and a horse. A girl who's turning 18 now, today, becoming an adult and owning her first horse. She is going to spend 1 year in my mentorship, learning everything I have to pour into her around heart math, learning sciences that are backed by, to the same level as you would have to be a zookeeper or for PETA standards. So we'll be debunking some myths that her mom Bobby and I grew up with, that we functioned under. And letting her define a relationship of mutual respect, mutual trust, and mutual benefit. And that's what we describe as true horsecraft. And my job is to facilitate that. So I have been well set up to be able to do this now, because 5 years ago when I met Bobby, I couldn't honor her request to, like, just let me show up with my kid and work around here. I'll do anything. Just please work with my kid and the horse. Just let her be with your horses. And I was like, I don't have the skills to facilitate what your family has been through. And I would be negligent to try to do this on our own. I said, surely, Bobby, she was transitioning 20-year vet whose job it is to help other people find their benefits and get what they need when they go through unimaginable losses. And their families move. And I was like, just tap into those. And then, you can go to my friend so-and-so and she provides services, or you can pay this person to go there and, like, you'll get these funds, right? Why don't you buy one of these heart math monitors with all the funds you vets have access to, right? And she's like, well, turns out it's not all that straightforward. And there's nothing for the kids unless you know how to fight for and say, if my child receives this treatment, it will benefit me in my mental health. And then you try to cobble together things. So I have better qualified friends in the industry that have mentored me, who work alongside psychiatrists, professionals, and they're sitting here like this, and there's 4 of them trying to feed each other right now. And they can provide a service that I am proof in the pudding of works. And so is this family 4 years later. So 4 years ago, I said, I love you, Bobby. And I'm glad you're here showing up with 4 kids. At that stage, I think they were between 10 and 18. I think they're 12 to 20 now. There's 4 of them. And her husband just transitioned after 22 years in the military, and they were in a new town and a new house and just wanted some horse time. And she would show up limping badly. She has constant pain from an injury sustained falling off a tank. Tank girl, sir. Tank girl. We need a t-shirt. Unbelievable. I can go anywhere in life with Bobby by my side with the skills she's accumulated over 20 years and the different sort of roles she played. So 4 or 5 years ago, we're in my talk room and I'm like, I'm selling everything, Bobby. And I'm going to hire a virtual assistant for 6 months to build my courses. And she's like, okay. She cleaned everything and put a price tag on everything, and it didn't add up to $10,000, and not everybody wanted my stuff. So I sent her to Carmen's, and she's volunteered for Carmen and Kui, 2 of the most spectacular young humans you should read about and listen to about in my podcast and my blog, and their story of Grace, a mounted police horse. These delicious human beings can provide transformation for people who have injured themselves. They're sort of like spiritually wounded or themselves at war, right? And when I was suggesting to Bobby that she goes to see my friend Carmen, she really pushed back. I gotta tell you, I had to push hard, Carmen. Because she said, you don't understand, Paige, I've supported people through. And so people like my situation and stuff that have this kind of trauma can exhibit these kinds of behaviors and triggers. And, she's painting a picture of someone collapsing on a floor in an airport or just dropping and you can't send these people just anywhere, right? And I was certified not to provide therapy, but everybody who walks through the door needs it. Not just exclusive to you. that other person. Like they all carry their, and I didn't have a structure. I wasn't a social worker. I was someone who used to ride horses good. So I watched her for 4 years show up with her body gimp. Oh, I did 2.5 hours of stall cleaning today. And so like it's heavy mucking. For me, it takes me 2.5 hours, and I'm usually sore for a couple of days. So, and she's like, "Oh, I'm fine." And so did her daughter, and her daughter earned her sessions with Carmen. Now, Carmen brings all kinds of different skills to the mix, including some really interesting self-defense and martial arts, and all kinds of things that I could never have brought to her. But she now brings them to me. So I need to serve her and provide her with 1 year of mentorship and wraparound support for what she and her mom and I and that horse need. And we are going to let her define her relationship. So to date, she's been going to traditional riding schools that use traditional methods. And generally, you end up at some point going, "Oh, come on, just hit him. Just make him do it." And she's like, "But I don't want it." What if I... And so they have been carefully picking and choosing who teaches her at a place that has people kind of come and go internationally and stuff. So it's not, I mean, they've been there for years, right? Some movement, and they shape her experiences with particular horses because she wants to give them autonomy and do some liberty work and that sort of thing. Now, Carmen has been teaching her liberty work, so I find this really interesting. This is someone who, I remember her husband, Kui, stopping me one day as I was moving horses out and turning horses out with him. I was 53-year-old horsewoman he had heard about and read about with experience at the Olympic level, and he had to go, "Paige, stop, step back, step away from the horse." He's like, "Well, we got to start over." And he like left the barn, and he came back and he left the barn. He's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "I'm just a kid that as like some 21-year-old punk, I picked up horses. I'm 30 whatever years old he was. And I have to tell you, like, you can't do it like that with our horses. They don't touch them." It's like, "What do you mean? It's pressure and release." He goes, "No, it's just an exchange of energy. You just exchange your intention and show them what you want. And then when they understand, generally," he's just like, "Yeah, you don't touch them, Paige." Oh. So it's interesting because it put me completely on my back foot. So I was not I had all of this theory, and I was teaching it, and I was writing it, and I was producing content, and I was practicing in my backyard. But like with someone else's horses, with Carmen's horses, suddenly I didn't have the same rules anymore, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to replace them with. So we would do things like she used to hire me to support her in what's the word I'm looking for? Delivering content for health partners that were coming in to support the Indigenous population of Barrie and Orillia. But then her contract required her to have a shrink. And I went back to school and was like, "I don't want to be a shrink." Like, so she's partnered up and been providing services, but she still needed help. And she called me up one day, and she was still farriering. And she said, "Paige, you know how there's just lots of jobs on the farm and things fall behind, and I watched them be exhausted, so exhausted. Could use your help." And I was like, "Yes." And she hadn't finished her sentence, right? She's like, "But no, you haven't let me finish because, what I paid you to co-facilitate," that's that word I was looking for. "When I was paying you to co-facilitate, I can't pay you that to do what I need, and I haven't told you what I need. It's kind of a big..." I was, "Yes." She's like, "But I might..." And I was like, "You know what? If it makes your life easier and you can go out and be successful and do this successfully and live a healthy, aligned life going forward, because I clean your toilets." And she's like, "Well, I can do $20 an hour." And Kui would feed me, and that would be counted in the hour. Like, mean, I was so well taken care of. She would appreciate me. They were on survival mode level. Like, all the horses' stalls were fluffy bedded, gorgeous deep, but the tack room was like whatever. It wasn't all mwah. So when I would be there, Carmen would come home and it would be mwah. And it felt so good. She'd come in and go, oh, our bridles would be all cleaned off and things would be all, and it felt so good. And I was appreciated for every ounce of energy that I put into it. And I just helped them sort of organize equipment and a farm at a time when Kui had sustained a head injury and was like, whoa, yeah, I know a thing or two about those myself. And a fiance who was exceptionally wildly hurt, catastrophically brain injured and recovered to miraculous degree. And a young woman, other people I've supported through that sort of thing. So I'm like, hey, I know all about those. Don't you worry about that. So I started even after the contract we had to restore order ended. I thought if I was going to volunteer, I should probably have enough room in my life to volunteer half a day of my life a week, maybe every other week. Yeah. Well, so every week or every other Sunday, I would say, as long as my showing up for half a day, and I would do their chores and muck out their stalls and stuff, means that Kui, the person who would have to make up for it, because Carmen's out shoeing horses, is going to rest and not break. Because if one of you breaks, this doesn't work. And I would like to be part of something larger than I am, because I can't carry this alone. I can't have people coming to me for one-on-ones and not have a properly supported person. Like, so my success is your success. So I did whatever they needed. And large part of it was storing stuff in buildings that have let them down and damaged things, and just organizing and helping them create order. They now have a farm of 4 people that are ready to deliver services. There's just this gap. Like, how do we get them there? So some of that story will be told too. This has resulted in someone who has years of mentorship in heart math and new skills that I'm bringing back to horse people, and new ideas and principles to give a horse a new start. And until recently, I was on a suicide mission, and it really, honest to God, felt like every morning of my life since I had essentially a vision out here, I have woken up with Mission Impossible, or maybe the Flight of the Bumblebee kind of going in my head. Like, I'm committed to this, and this is how, in my controlling way, I see it playing out, which is just about fucking impossible. But my mission in life is to prove that anything is possible. Whew. And so that was a lot to wake up with every day, and that my purpose was to share what I learned. I was like, well, there's some things I've had to learn. I gotta learn that in public. Ooh, that's gonna leave a bare patch. And so I have been bringing together all of these life lessons, thinking it hinged on applying these lessons I've learned to the rehabilitation and repurposing of an off-the-track thoroughbred racehorse. And so my mission was to get feeling good enough in my body, and my body's been through desk jockeydom and scoliosis and cancer treatment and injuries, all the things. I should, if anything is possible, then I should be able to be pain-free and ride a 4-year-old off-the-track thoroughbred athletically again, safely, and give it a new life and a new home at the end. I don't want to own it. Who's that going to be? So I've had this project I've talked about now for a couple of years. At first, I thought it hinged on a couple of twin foals, and then that fell apart because it required a lot of training on the owner's part. And then I thought it hinged on this thoroughbred, and I had someone say, I'll get you a thoroughbred, and then he ghosted me because I think he felt me go. I'm like, okay, you're gonna get, when's that horse coming? Janine! Like, friend, this isn't working. Like, how am I gonna sit on a horse? Then I sat on my friend's horse and I made it go more crookedly than if I wasn't sitting on it. I was like, oh, I can't make this horse carry its body straight. Why am I doing this? And it's hurting me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to just work harder. So I have been working harder and pushing through and getting injured. And I think it's just like my body and karma providing me the injuries so I don't fucking kill myself riding a thoroughbred. And finally, as spots are emerging on scans, you stare more and more down the barrel of the gun and you start to think about what's really, really important. And my naturopath said, Paige, I hereby prescribe a 2-week Netflix binge. If you don't want to leave your bed, don't. You're exhausted. Yes. Man. Permission to rest. I found that my youngest son, who is local, actually wants to hang out with me a lot. Hung out with him all the time. And thankfully, he helped me bring wood in because I was in crippling pain. And no one knew why. So I just threw it all in the air. I threw my hands to God. And that's new for me because a lot of the people that I grew up with make fun of that still and just think that it's stupid. And I've had enough evidence to the contrary to say, yeah, I'm on a mission from God, sort of tongue in cheek, blessing the Blues Brothers and maybe watching that tonight. And I know why I'm here now. And thank Christ on a cracker, it isn't to ride a thoroughbred. Whew, you can back me now. I know what I'm doing. So I've been backed since I was probably 16 years old. Officially by the time I was 22, by my community to get to places I needed to go to be a contender, to maybe get to the Olympics, because if I'm not there, they're not going to send me. Right? It's like, there are fundraisers out here to send my ass and my horse's ass across an ocean. When I had a really, really long shot, I was 22 years old. It's in this sport, it's pretty young. From North Bay, I did most of my training in the snow and down the roads, right by the book. I was the rule follower, right? Kilometers of trails, rode all over the neighborhoods, over the worst footing, on a horse with pie plate feet, a hairy chin, a Roman nose, hairy ankles, and he moved like he was an egg beater across the country, which was perfect because I could put him under things and he would get us out the other side. And so we were these two ridiculous little dynamos that were like, hi, I might go to the Olympics. And people were like, really, who are you? Oh, excellent. She seems tall and fun and loud. And that's pretty much how I was known. I generally climbed flagpoles because I discovered I could, and that at the top of them there were lights that I could unscrew over top of the dance floor, and then people would dance with me. I won a competition doing that for the highest bid of the day, raising money to send myself and my teammates overseas when Sports Canada pulled a last-minute funding decision not to send our team to training camp in England before the Olympic Games because pish posh, who needs to be well prepared? It is expensive, so there's that. So we fundraised to send ourselves. And I will send you a picture of that, and you will love it. So I was paired up with someone named Robert Lemieux, whose ancestor was Canadian, but who was raised in England. And he couldn't make the British team, but by God, he could make the Canadian team. And he never trained here one lick of winter. Not one lick of winter, but did he fly over for checkmate? Oh, he sure did. And he was partnered up with me, and we were sold off as a pair for the highest bidders of the day. Thank you very much. He did not climb up that flagpole. And there's a picture of me at 22 wrapped around him in his face like his mouth is full of poop in it. So it's one of my favorite. I like it a lot. That's generally how I was known. So I was known to go to the competitions, unscrew the light bulbs, and start the party. And I would dance with my generally closeted gay friends, semi-gay closeted friends, young men who maybe might be in the closet that might hang out and be best friends with me and dance with me and let me have my panty rule, because I was trying to get to the Olympics at 22. And I understood the odds and that I couldn't pull the plug if I got pregos. That'd be the end. Just knew myself well enough to go, well, then there's just one way that's not going to happen, boys. And the gay boys were like, you want to dance? Yes, I do. Do I ever? And I was known for that. So this is kind of the culmination of this crazy life that I had in sport. The visual from the outside didn't necessarily always match my wants or needs. I was an Olympian level people pleaser, and what I have learned about shutdown nervous systems and how it affects horses and victims is life transformative, and it will be woven into a story that you're just going to want to watch and absorb. And you won't be able to look away from it. At the end, there will be understandings that will leave you empowered to know that in the middle of whatever, I mean, it's a fucking interesting story, I gotta tell you right now. Whatever, you can find peace and you can be happy. Because if I can, if you knew me, you know my backstory, if I can, anybody fucking can. I promise you. So we're at the beginning of a 1-year project that's now coming together since I gave it up. I threw it all in the air, threw my hands in the air to God. The fuck, I hung out with my kid. I brought wood in from the forest. I relaxed and I looked and I saw something about a standard bred retraining challenge. And I went, oh my God, sign me up. Sign me up. This barn, which you'll come to know, was built for standard breds because my dad and his friends could afford to race standard breds and be involved. The working person could have a standard bred, and the average person could handle them. They are a different, people who don't know, so sorry to my friends who do, but lots of people go, thoroughbred, standard bred. So differentiation, the thoroughbreds you sit on, the standard breds you trot behind in a cart. The thoroughbreds, are you going to give your 16-year-old the keys to the Ferrari? Are you going to give them the keys to the Volkswagen or the Chevette or the, right? Like, let's put them in. Who's at the wheel? Where are we going? What are we doing? So here's my demographic. This is the demographic driving the horse world. We're aging. We got a little fear. We can't afford to hit the fucking ground anymore. You know what's going on in the spine? It just broke. The PET scan found a broken rib. I can't fall. I'm not getting on a thoroughbred. Standard breds. I may or may not ride again. I haven't decided whether I need to sit on a horse. And ever, gallop across a field again. I've galloped across fields. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It would never be that beautiful again. It was amazing. I would like to feel better in my body on my feet. I would like to play with a horse at liberty. I would like to change how the world sees school horses, and the average adult amateur horse is treated, and the learning process changes for them so that they have better longevity and better lives. And I can participate in horse sport and say, yes, I will teach you riding lessons because I think these horses have an ethical path ahead of them. To date, I've had to leave because it was insane. There was an expectation in a broken system where the people were going to show up without the flexibility, fitness level, balance, knowledge or understanding, or any of the ingredients that they needed to achieve what they wanted. But we were horse pros and we had to make it happen. Guess what happens? Well, I don't want to tell you that story. I don't want to be in that industry, and I can change it because of the tools I had access to, which are a fucking miracle. And the people that I know, like, that's what happens with opportunity in sport. On the shoulder of giants, I have stories, I have proof in the pudding, I have a sense of humor, I'm willing to laugh at myself, I'm willing to learn out loud and apply all of my skills to promote the standard bred breed. It's aftercare. It's suitable for someone like me who might want to climb on and ride around a field and jump what gets in the way in balance up and downhill. What more could you want to do? So, you know, if you really want to show jump and stuff, some of the standard breds do it, but I'm not going to go out on a limb for you. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most of you haven't been given a model to work within that you know about yet. I'm going to create it in my backyard here and give you other ways of being with horses. And we are going to put together a standard bred ex-racehorse, an 18-year-old girl who's ready to make decisions about how to apply scientifically backed and proven models of communicating with a horse ethically and by standards. So we'll define those. And to see what grows. And she's already got some background in heart math skills and that sort of thing. She'll learn how to apply them. We'll film it all. It will be released on Patreon in bits. We'll get together once a week to do a little filming. Quarterly, we will bring in a film crew when the horse lands, and then every 90 days. And then we will turn it into a documentary and get ready to bring a box of Kleenex and a bag of popcorn and celebrate with Northern people and Northern talent. So I want to thank Charles and Mireille largely for introductions to Pierre and Pierre Bonbury for You Take a Chance on Me. Not that he's that French, but Pierre Bonbury. Quelle sorte de nom! What a name! Pierre Bonbury de Sudbury. Oui, c'est ça. Il est international maintenant. Il habite en El Salvador. Et puis, je vais vous allez lui rencontrer, whatever. You'll meet him someday. I'm going to stop butchering somebody else's mother tongue. So, thanks for sticking around and finding out what's going on. This project I've had on the back burner for years is just like everything is moving forward. We will be looking at 6 horses on the 10th and 11th with New Start Standard Bred touring us around Southern Ontario. I am learning all about where standard breds come and go from now. I was very familiar with it when my dad ran a standard bred breeding facility and I handled mares and stallions and weanlings and foals. I drove them. Yeah, they are just the sweethearts and the hard workers of the world. So unlike thoroughbred racehorses that tend to run about every 6 weeks, I think, and I could use some correction on this, The standardbreds run once a week, like pretty much their whole lives. Right? Race till they're 10, 11, 12. They just, they fucking report for work. Blue collar workers. They live in something that looks like a horse factory. They wait for their turn. They stand there and they get all their whatever. They get lasered and they get massaged and they get fed and all the things. We'll assume the best of a lot of really good trainers use rehoming, things like this. So, you know, but it's a job, right? It's a fucking grind, man. I don't care who you are. And a friend of mine who hires really beautiful Amish builders in Quebec and Vermont sees nice horses come and go all the time, and they're well looked after. But she saw one come in and went, "Whoa, that has the look of eagles." And I think it still had like a race number on its hip. And she looked it up and it was a world champion. They bought it from the kill pen. They get shipped up from the States because they're so far ahead of us in the United States. Let this sink in, please. Ethically and morally, they understand that putting a sentient being like a horse through a kill pen is torturous and cruel. And they don't do that in the United States because they're so far ahead of us down there. And they're so much more forward-thinking, compassionate people. In Canada, however, we still have this. So Jan Arden and I are going to meet and talk about ending that, because it's largely full of standardbreds that get shipped up from the States with numbers still on them. They've run their whole fucking lives. Boom, 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 boom. They're lucky an Amish family buys them and they look at them strictly as an investment. Not saying that it's cruel, but this is their life. They go to work every day until they start to depreciate, and then their lives get sideways. Right now it's like, well, he's going to start to need and he's sore, and so it's all downhill for a standee. But I've seen them in riding schools, and if I wanted to go hack around the countryside every now and then without worrying about whether the horse got worked every day or not, and sit on it bareback with a rope around its neck and do some trails and jump over the odd log and bank and ditch that got in the way, I would do it on a standee all day. I'd put my 86-pound dying of cancer mother on a standee and take her out there. Get a standee. Get a standardbred. You can't ride those warm bloods. And if you're going to get handles, please, for the love of God, get a neck strap that you can balance off of, and big, puffy, padded saddles, because the horses and the way they move nowadays, if I can't ride them, what do you, like, horses barely touch the ground anymore. They've engineered them to be these extraordinary athletes, and absorbing that level of athleticism requires your equal athleticism. So match yourself up. If you're a couch potato, ride a fucking couch potato. Jesus Christ. So I am here in my dying breaths and living breaths to pull off the bullshit glasses and go, you know what? You were asking us to apply an insane formula in an insane system with some diseased precepts. Dominance theory doesn't add up. I've got friends who are doing better than I am. I'm catching up, though. And so if we start to apply new principles and start over again, can we make a life worth living? And can we reverse disease? I don't know. I think disease might have been responding to me going, what the fuck? Is this world like fucking nuts? Is it? Did you look at, don't look at the news? What if we did it differently, right? And so I have a chance to go, well, I got a free ticket to ride. I've got stage 4 cancer, staring down the barrel of a gun. That's my ticket to ride. Let's watch what I'll do over 1 year to make change in an industry I know well, with people that I know can help me make change. So I have a list of partners already. I'm getting ready to, I have to finish a sizzle reel before I hit up the old press release. So I'm a little bit stalled in the process of creating a sizzle reel that will push forward with Project New Start, and plan to hear me on every podcast there is about horses and humans and hearts, and do a road trip to the US. So 10th and 11th, we're going to look at 6 racehorses. I will meet my SimStride sponsors, SimStride partners, and talk about sponsorship and our opportunities together to co-host and co-facilitate and co-brand. And I just want to drive her trailer around. I had a plan, and I had a friend say, oh, I could build that for you, but it was ridiculous, right? It required buying a Racewood simulator. Have you seen things? Waiting a year for them to build one for you. Huh. I want to do it this September. Damn it. October, maybe. October. And then the trailers, there's no such thing as a trailer tall enough. You've got to make your own. Oh, I didn't me. Right? So I found someone who's already doing that. Oh, I don't have to do those things? No! You're not supposed to do this alone, anyone. Anything is possible in caveats together. Right? So, she doesn't want to drive it around every day of the effing year, and neither do I. But boy, would it be gosh darn fun to drive it to Paso Robles. What's in Paso Robles? Oh, just the Journey On podcast summit. It's October 26th. I was just thinking, might be fun. Do pop-up horsecraft on the way, like I did before. Tell my story, and spread the love all the way to Paso Robles and then back through Canada. I would definitely need to see Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake is changing lives. She's changing the course of humanity, pretty much. Not all by herself, but she's having an influence. Some of it is through me still being able to do this and to rise again and to start again and to start again. So I learned that from my friends who are artists. I learned it because I was cut off from the world through COVID and cancer treatment and divorce and loss. And I started to follow my friend Verdun Viancourt, a musician, when the flower store, Burroughs, which is a beautiful place that you should stop into in North Bay, Ontario on 3rd, I believe, Avenue. And the Burroughs Country Store would hire Verdun Viancourt, a phenomenal musician, to sit in the flowers and play. Well, we walked around with our masks still on, doing, oh my God, there's a human! I think we still had to be 6 feet apart. We were like, hi, Vern. I haven't seen you since before that. Right? Where my life went. It's pretty much, how are you? And it's like, oh, pretty good. I'm running some open mic nights at this place we used to call 100 Georges, and it's called something else now. It's La Casa de Maria now. So you should go to La Casa de Maria now. At the time, it was, I think, called the Raven. And I was like, oh, that'd be amazing. So I'd been alone on this farm, living with 2 octogenarians. Who wants to be patient zero that infects those people? Ask me how many visitors drove into the laneway over a period of years and how close we were allowed to get to them. I was in the middle of cancer treatment. I was hairless and skinny and dying, and I lived with 80-year-olds. So like, oh my God. I was like, okay, Vern. So I showed up and I plunked down in the corner of a bar stool across from some awkward fella that was doing comedy at the open mic. And I'm just going to watch the show. My one drink. And he came over with his clipboard. Like, No, I'm not like, no, I'm not signing up, Vern. I'm a musician. I never learned any music. All I did was ride horses. I don't even know how to play any music at all. No, I'm not a musician. Oh, I didn't know that. Are you sure? And I was like, well, you know, I have this fantasy version of myself where I'm a lounge singer from like the 50s. One of those like, and I'm like, Ella Fitzgerald kind of like summertime, just like, yeah. And he's like, okay, so next week. And the next thing you know, next Monday, I show up and sing really poorly and try too hard for 2 hours to sing 2 songs I want to sing. Or one. I just wanted to do the one. Wonder by Natalie Merchant. I don't know if I should bother trying it, butchering it. I don't know. When I was isolated during COVID, living alone in the Daffodil Lodge, where we were not allowed to interact with other human beings in the kitchen, on the elevator, down the hallway, in our rooms. The only time anyone touched us was when they were hooking us up to a machine to fry us. It was wild. And in the middle of all of that, I started to reach out to people and show people sort of how I got through it. And it made a difference. So it made a difference then. I used to go live in the... Be thankful my clothes are on. I used to go live in the radiation change room and be like, the first time I did, I looked in the mirror and I was wearing one of those washed out green blue crayons. I don't know if it's blue or is it green? Is it green blue gray-ish yellow? And I was like, oh my, doesn't that make my... And I'll post a photo of what I saw in the mirror. I took a picture of it. I was like, it looked like Uncle Fester. It's like, holy shit. Click! Hi! This is me live in the change room. How do you think this makes me look? I don't know. And then the next day I'm like, maybe this is better. Does this maybe... Today I'm going to. And so I started becoming the radiation fashionista. And people would sign up and I'd be like, hi, how are you doing? Okay, I'm going in for zap number 5. And it was really sustaining. It was a way to feel seen and heard when unbelievably isolated. So after all of this, out the other side, I practice a couple of tunes with Vern Hambley. Vern Viancore. And play a couple songs. One of them is the song that I used to sing while walking up and down the hallways at the Daffodil Lodge. So while I was there in isolation, all come together. Walking down the hallways all by myself, I would sing a song that a friend sent to me, and I'll send a link to that too. Paul Delbruck, one of the safe boys for me to hang around when I was younger. Came online, he's very formal. He said, my friend Paige is fighting the insidious disease of cancer, and I'm going to sing this song for her. And doesn't he sit down at a grand fucking piano and play Wonder by... I didn't know he played piano. I just thought he rode horses good. And I was like, oh, buddy, like, thanks. And so I sang Wonder with Vern, and I think Fast Cars or something by Tracy Chapman. And then I don't really regularly practice or play music. So on one other occasion, I had a fundraiser, an awareness raiser that I wanted to do. As a surprising survivor of sexual violence at 6'1", as someone who makes 1,200-pound flight animals do her bidding, it came as a bit of a surprise to people that is such a common experience. And I thought that was an important conversation. And I did a big fundraiser, and I went to my friends, can we sing I Can't Keep Quiet? And can you play with me? And again, I had like 2 hours of practicing, and then I went, I can't keep quiet. I sang a song. I raised $10,000. Boom. So my singing has been in fits and starts, and I met a terrific friend. She's such a humanitarian. Lee Horner, artist, friend, social, like maven. And she got tired of me and my story and why my dreams weren't coming true. Told me that was a bunch of bullshit. And I was like, you come out and play music with us. So I would show up and play music in her garage. And she has real live musician friends. These are the cool kids hiding. And I show up and I'm like, all right, as long as I can dance, I can do something good for their music, right? So, and I want to sing. And an old musician, Andy, has taken me under his wing. So I've been getting to play and sing, and it's all coming around because music is integral in a lot of the healing and the exercises and what we're going to do with the horses here. So you can create a state of being that is conducive to safety and connection with horses through science in your head and a machine. And I can hook you up to a dial, and we can practice breathing, and we can count, and we can do heart math. But we can also, just through humming and singing, do that all sneaky like and just create it. So music will factor hugely into the production of everything that I do, and will feature the permission of local artists and singer-songwriters. So I'm super looking forward to this. Once I gave up on the idea it had to be a thoroughbred and it became a standard bred, I was like, Bobby, what does Allie want to do with a horse? You know, basically ride it around up and down hills, you know. I was like, standing. Yeah, okay. It all just is falling together. So for my partners, I'm sure forget someone, but I'm sure they'll forgive me in the long run. Olivia from Springer Animal Hospital, DBM, Elizabeth, Stacy Ferrier and Forge, Carly Cullen, CC Equine Therapy, Bearer Technology and Communication Solutions, Boards Honey, Janine Weldon, Nikki at Ohana Yoga. These are all current partners already who are going to be providing support for the horse and the girl and the mom and myself over the next year while we document different ways of being with horses, different options, models that haven't been tried yet, and reshape how humans and horses interact and the options for them. We can make change. Hold my beer.